the things are changing very fast. So I'll try and do more internal audit measures, internal mechanism on audit and training for the staff. That those are number 2 on pending bills. Pending bills, I know, is a monster. It's bigger than my position as a CEC. It's an issue that we need to work with the Assembly. We need to work with the governor himself, the CEOs. We need to work with the procurement, because the pending bills means that people committed money that ordinarily maybe was not there. So that when you go at the end of the chain, you realize work delivered and there's no money. So I'll limit an issue of where we commit money that is ordinarily is not budgeted for. That is an issue of procurement, that I'll make sure that if we procure for a service, we need to have the money, so that we are procuring for a service, there is money for that particular work done. There's also an issue of once the money is there, but once we go and collect the money, sometimes you hear stories of misallocation of the same funds. Initially, money was available, but once it is received at the county level, sometimes the officers that manage the resources then direct the money to something else. I'll ensure within my department that on issues of that once we have given a work, we will ensure that that money that was meant for payment of the service or the work, that is done. It's not reallocated to something else. That is not a priority. So in our payment of services and works, we will then prioritize based on the work delivered, so that we minimize the pending bill, at least within my department. I don't know how much it is now, but I knew there was a number of pending bills. So I've talked about 2 things. One, we will not commit money that is not available in the budget. We will also ensure that the procurement process are above board, because that is very critical in addressing pending bill. Wage bill is another monster that I know it's an issue that bedevils most of the counties. And I know that in BOMET County, for example, we are instead of 35%, we are at around 42 or 43%. It's a monster that I know we need to address. And Honorable Member, I don't know whether I have the mandate to really articulate and say we will then, because if we talk about a difference of about 7 or 8%, it means we have more people than we can afford if we were to stick to 35%. And I'm sure if I come and my first appearance is suggesting that we will fire people so that we are within I'm sure everybody will be a bit scared. And having myself been jobless, and Honorable did mention, that is compassionate. I don't know how we'll address it, but I'll still come back to you to see the issues of budget, because wage bill means maybe we need to bring in what we call public-private partnership, so that we free more resources. If we had public-private partnership, we will then have money that we would have used for channeling to projects. If we have somebody who can come in with money, then it means we are having more money for salaries and PE generally. That is for wage bill. Integrity, it means that we need to work with institutions we need to work with institutions. I'm in a tie. It's been long since I was in a tie, so so it's giving me some bit pressure in my body. But I hope I'll go through. On issues to do with
it hot?
Yeah, it is 100%.
So the questions are hot.
Both.
Kindly
yes. On integrity, we need to bring on board other institutions, maybe like the CEC, to check our systems. Sometimes we may not have a robust system to address the issues of integrity. We need to even bring on board the DCI sometimes, just to talk to us as the leadership and our staff. So we need to partner with other institutions that have got more robust system to ensure that integrity measures are in place. And then, of course, accountability. Integrity is about accountability. Can you account for the money that was given to CEC administration to ensure that is what will be through accountability will then have been able to demonstrate integrity.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Majority Leader. Honorable Changmorik.
Thank you, Chair. Public participation is one of the critical components of governance. what are the benefits of citizens' engagement, and which are some of the tools you will employ in engaging the public?
Thank you, Honorable Member. I think let me begin with tools, because tools are like public barazas. The questionnaires, for example, we will focus groups. Those are the tools that we will then use in public participation. We'll even use some of the, if possible, we'll partner with some of the CBOs, community-based organization, in ensuring that messages, because public participation is about messaging. We'll also use some NGOs, including church-based NGOs again. The local radio stations are very critical component of public participation. The benefits, of course, I think I remember mentioning on public participation, it enriches the government, and it makes the government look at, because as a government we need to do that which the common man desires. So I think public participation is critical in decision making. It's very critical in enriching our decision making processes. Then also, it's also good in communication. Public participation is communicating what the government wants to do to the public, and then having the public and the common man buying into what you want to do. So public participation is a critical component of leadership.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minority Leader. Are you ready? So Article 10 of the Constitution of Kenya describes the national values and principles of governance set by state officers and public officers. Briefly outline and explain the instances under which you as a CCM will be bound by these values and principles.
One, staff management. When we talk about transparency, I've talked about those principles of transparency will be very critical. Because I'll be in CEC, there will be a lot of staff under me. So staff management is one. Another one is public. We have talked about public participation. There is democratic principles. Public participation is to ensure that what we want to do is what the public wants. So public participation is one of when we talk about the values and principles of governance. Public participation is another one. So I'll employ in public participation those principles. In democracy, I'll be leading a lot of staff, and we want to listen. Sometimes we think we know. When we sit up there, we think we know. Sometimes we may not know. So we need to open principles and the democratic chain so that we hear the staff, so that we make decisions that the staff can easily buy into.
Okay. Then I think my last question will be, considering that you've been serving as a district officer, or rather in some quite number of stations. So, in this new sector, what are you are going to navigate?
Yes.
Or the basics that you are going to employ?
As a district officer, I think I've attached a document to demonstrate that we have really been trained. I think we have trained a number of months. I've talked about KIA, and I've attached those documents to show that we have been trained. So I've been privileged to have been trained on public administration. I've attended more than 10 courses. I'll bring that in because the position I've been nominated for is administration. So I'll bring the background of public administration into that office. Secondly, as a DO1, you are in charge of coordination of all the national programs. And again, when you look at my position, it's also in charge of coordinating all the county functions. I was privileged to have been coordinating the national government. For anybody who has interacted with the DOs or the DCs, they know their core mandate is coordination of national government at the grassroots. So I bring that experience and ensure that when it comes to coordination of county government functions at the grassroots level, from the ward to the sub-county, I'll ensure I put in place mechanism to ensure that the coordination of those functions are proper.
Thank you very much, Honorable Eric.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow Justus to wipe off the sweat a bit.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable.
Okay, Justus, I know we've previously worked together at the executive. You may not remember me, but it is well.
Yes.
And it's good to see you here.
Thank you.
Can you tell us, I know you are aware that sometimes there's been delays in salaries.
Yes.
What are the actions that you will need to institute so that we help the staff not go months on end without salaries? Those are the things that we want to hear from you.
Yeah. I know, again, I'm sorry, but I know that this salary issue is bigger than my office, but I'll try and suggest to, one of the issues is that we have had challenges with treasury, releasing funds on time. But maybe the challenge is that we don't prepare documentation, because I know as a county we need to go to Nairobi and ensure that the funds are released to the county for then payment of salaries. I'll be able to work closely with the CEC in charge of finance to ensure that we do it timely and we are ahead of time, so that we don't go there and we hear our officers are still in Nairobi chasing salaries when we are about 3 to 5, 6, 7 days ahead of salary time. So I'll work closely with the CEC in charge of finance to ensure that we build a rapport with Treasury, the National Treasury Government, and then that if there are documentation that are necessary, that those documents are ahead in preparation in time, so that when we go there, we are able to then have the money released on time. That is one. Number two, I think we need, sometimes again, we may be prepared and with the documents, but some officers from county go to Nairobi and realize there is no funds. I'll be able, and I think that is what we were able to do sometimes when I was still around, have a good working relationship with the bank so that they can be able to advance us an overdraft. Because sometimes the staff may not understand the issue of Nairobi not releasing funds. So I think it's good to have a working relationship with the bank so that if push come to shove, then we are able to get an overdraft and pay staff on time. That is one of the issues that I think I'm thinking in mind. Secondly, again, in the budgeting, sometimes I've had staff that are in the payroll, but their budget is not available. I think I also need to work on it to ensure that if there are staff in my department, all of them are budgeted for. I've had the issue of, is it not ward administrators, village managers or what, have gone without salaries. I think, and then I'm told there's no money for them, which to me is an error on the department that I'm heading to. And we want to work on it to ensure that if we have a staff, the budget for their salaries is there. So I'll work on to ensure that we budget properly, we do a proper budgeting process. And then if there is a challenge, again, I may need to come back again for supplementary. Like, I don't know how far the issue of people who have gone without salaries in my department, but when you go there, I think that is my first job I need to look at.
Okay. I like your demeanor, Justus. You come out as a very confident man, but sometimes people read it as as very highly opinionated person.
Yes.
If you get successful being the CC,
yes,
how would you try to balance that so that you come out as a person who can accommodate everyone? And in this matter, that's one, and
yes.
two.
Yes.
CC administration sometimes feels like he's a de facto deputy governor, and you must be aware that your predecessor left office because of a question that I'd asked him previously about that.
Yes.
How will you manage that so that there is someone who's a deputy governor and the governor, and you still manage your cool, even with your demeanor?
I think that is also what cost me the other job. That's exactly what you're saying. I remember that maybe people feel I was too strong, I was highly opinionated, and as I've said, I've learned my lesson. I think I come back a better man, a more listening man. Maybe there are things that I may not change, because maybe my demeanor sometimes is almost natural. I'll be asking for forgiveness if I need to, because that is how I was born. But those who are interacted with me, I realized I'm not a very bad man. That is why if you go to some places, people are saying, bring Maina back. They know a few people.
Oh, so you're coming back because of public cry? Or something?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm not saying so, but I think some may have said, I think he was not a bad man.
Okay.
So I'll try and change. Where I can change my demeanor. And also, honorable members, if you think I'm too strong, I'm too opinionated, kindly just ask me, Maina, that is being too strong, tone down, and I'll listen. Now that I've been at home, I think I'm more listening than talking.
Okay, fine. Fair enough. Allow me, Honorable Speaker, to ask more questions on that. While you're being asked some questions by Honorable Majority Leader, you spoke about the internal audit in BOMET.
Yes.
And when you asked about integrity, you spoke about EACC and DCI.
Yes.
In your own opinion.
Yes.
One, do you think you would believe in the internal audit processes in the county? In your own, and just be honest, be candid about it.
Yeah, to an extent, they have done a good job. And I don't want to cast aspersion again. You've just mentioned that people may think and you're leading me again into the same trap. You said, if I have an opinion against officers I'm going to serve with. Well, just the one thing you said is that we are not doing.
It's okay.
Would you allow me not to,
you're being yourself.
No, yes, honourable member, but allow me not to cast aspersion on our officers unless this was a closed door vetting. Maybe
your answer is you've answered it well. It's okay.
Yes.
Proceed to the next one. Talking about EACC and DCI in county. I think
yes.
it is a super dangerous path to talk about, right? Is it?
Yes, I was talking about having them build processes, the systems, not them coming to smooth around, but I'm just talking about the system. They can come in and build our systems within the county government system, only systems.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Then
maybe in your own opinion, Mr. Maina,
yes,
you think, what is your opinion about the success of devolution in BOMET in particular? How would you score us?
Yes. I'll give it around 65. Every journey we have had challenges like everybody else, and I know the bigger challenge that may not be appreciated by most people is the late disbursement of the funds from Nairobi. Sometimes we end the year and we realize we have about 2 billion that were not accessed. On paper, we are talking about 7 billion, and but at the end of the year, sometimes, and I was here even during that time, we realized sometimes we could not access up to 2 billion that was then transferred to the following year. So I think that has been the biggest challenge, so that counties are always with the backing board in Nairobi asking the treasury to release funds, and sometimes they are very technical and tactical. They'll say we have released all the funds, but then the timeline will not allow then the county government to then access the funds, and to me that has been the biggest challenge. And then maybe what we need to improve on is the relationship between the assembly and the executive. I know that has been a challenge, and I know there is room for improvement, because if the oversight body, if the oversight body is working closely without no compromise, I'm not talking about compromise, but just ensuring that our systems are right, I think we will then improve service delivery.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you manage the court cases? I know you are aware that there are so many court cases, and even the rulings have been given to the county, and some of them have not been actioned on.
Yes.
How would you change the game? Because we are staring at a path that is, we have so many court cases, especially around employment, for employees who've served in the county, and court, the employment court has given a ruling. How would you handle those ones?
And remember, I know you know it's a difficult question. Why? Because the courts may give a ruling that we pay somebody, and you know we do our every expense is budgeted for, and the court says pay a number of staff, maybe 500, but then within our budget we have not captured that, and the court may not be consistent, or they ignore. I don't know what is ignoring that fact. They may not even say do it next year. Ensure, because sometimes you feel like they should have said ensure this is budgeted for in the next financial year, or even in supplementary. Sometimes they just say pay this number of staff, and of course it's almost a near impossibility to then look for money and pay, whether it's a court order or not. Sometimes, and it's near impossibility to then pay people whose budget is not there. So I will not come and say because the courts have issued an order, I'll step and say I'm the CEC in public service, in charge of public service, pay so and so. I know it's an issue again that we need to come back to the assembly for guidance. And I think we still leave it appealing. I don't know whether appealing those cases because it's a route to go. I have no idea.
Honorable Speaker,
yes,
I like the way I know it's a conundrum of everyone. You understand what's happening because most of those people, and that is the advice that we give to the Public Service Board that why don't you take up this stuff instead of advertising and bringing on board new people from different areas and take on board the people who've served in the county for the longest time. However, they ignored it and brought on board new people, different new people, ignoring the people who had served in the county under expired contracts, which would have solved that issue. And now you're here. How do you deal with those ones? Because we want to understand what would be your action plan to ensure that we don't have those cases, because there's the people who are out there, the people who are still crying that they worked with the county for several years. The Public Service Board ended up hiring other people, leaving them out. And here you are now, you have to make the decision yourself, Mr. Maina.
I think one, we need to depoliticize, and I'm sure that is a challenge I met when I came from national government. We realize every position is political. Like sometimes when you look at the substantive ward administrators, you may not find none is on paper. You realize we have 12 ward administrators. On paper, on ground, you realize because of maybe the way they also acted, some of them were really political and they were really anti the government of the day, and maybe a decision was made because if you then attack the government that is coming, I will not then trust you to then sell the policies. So maybe one of the things that we fail is, I don't know whether we have not trained some of the staff sufficient so that, because if you see the DC, for example, here, you may not know, you will see him, but you may not know whether he's supposed to or you'll just see him say a few things and then he's very careful with his words. Problem, because I was in political team in 2017, and you could see a ward administrator really taking a panga, wanting to even hit the late Madam Joyce because of political differences. So maybe there is something we need to really depoliticize so that when we look at the staff, we appreciate him as an employee of county government of BOMET, but not as somebody whose interest is elsewhere other than the government of the day. And then I think that is why sometimes we may have, the fluidity in terms of people being given a contract, then when a new government comes in, they are told to step aside. There is then that outcry, and then by the way, sometimes you realize it is a genuine. If you are given a contract, the other issue, people are not willing to. Once the contract ends, they come back and say, "No, bona tupo," and they knew it was a 3-year contract. Maybe it can be renewed or something else. But realize some of the employees who are complaining are people who are in contract, and then now they are demanding an automatic continuation of their jobs. And sometimes because some of these positions are just given, like ward administrators or even the sub-ward administrator, I know they were in contract. And I know there's a ooh and cry about their positions now. So to me, there is a lot that I need to familiarize myself so that if I really speak into it, I know what I'm speaking about. I know I'm not privy to a lot of information on the same. And I don't want to second guess anybody, but I'm sure, honorable members, if you give me time in the next 2-3 months, if I come back, I'm sure I'll have interacted with the staff and the leadership of my department and be able to respond more effectively on the same.
Okay. Allow me to ask the one last question, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Maina, just for general knowledge and information also.
Yes.
You left the national government and came to the county. What drove you to coming to the county? What drove you to come into the county? Did you just leave? And how has it been like? Do you sometimes look back and say, I wish you stayed back?
Yes, definitely. Sometimes you wish you stayed back. Having now interacted with what happens, you wanted an honest answer.
Yes.
I realized the working environment, national government and the county government are two diametrically opposed things. And you get baptized so many times. You don't get baptized once in county. You get so many times. And what drove me is we had discussed with Joyce. And I also started working. I worked in Kilifi. I worked in Kuala, I worked in Tanariva, I worked for about 10 years, and I thought coming back home, I just wanted to be a little bit home. We had also been running with MRC. Those time MRC was top, and it was sometimes nightmarish. And then when I made a miscalculation, we had thought that we were coming for about 10 years. And my calculation was that if I served for 10 years, the next after 2027, then I was going for a political seat. That was my calculation. It went haywire, but I don't remember. That is how I had calculated.
Very candid indeed, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Santi Sana, thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Honorable Derek. Honorable Roslyn.
Thank you so much, Chair. Okay, as we are aware that you served in the Department of Administration and Public Services for 1.5 years. We were able to realize that at this time our staff are going through a lot of challenges. One of the challenges is lack of motivation in terms of promotion, trainings, and even conducive environment for working. Also, another issue which we have realized is that our staff are so reluctant and they're so demoralized, and we haven't received the value for money as BOMET County concerning our staff. And also, we are aware that the wage bill in BOMET is very high. My question is, given chance to be the CEC in charge of administration and public service, what measures will you put in place to ensure that the same challenges are solved amicably and ensure that our staff are working?
One of the things that I know we have not done well as a county is training of our staff, because even the promotion sometimes presupposes training. I'll then need to look at the budget and check whether we have sufficient budget for training, because that is very critical for, as much as we are talking about demoralized staff, some of the staff have worked for 10 years. Some of the promotion need maybe senior management course. You have worked for 10 years, but you have not done SMC, for example. So I'll look at the training as a very critical component of motivation of staff. There's also a body that recommends promotion that is chaired by the county secretary, and the human resource director is the secretary of that committee. The human resource development management committee. I'll also work through that to ensure that we forward names at an appropriate time. We forward the names for promotion timely. I'm also sure, and I must thank the assembly and the county government in general, that there are a number of people waiting for promotions, and they've been recommended for promotions. Unfortunately, I'm aware that we have not had a CEO to the public service, but I'm aware currently that there are more than 500 people whose their letters for promotions are ready, and I think I'll continue with the same spirit, because I know it's not all doom and gloom. There is something good going on about the promotion of staff in BOMET County, though it's belated, but at least finally there is something going on. Maybe another issue, that if the allowances that staff have been denied for and they ideally qualify and merit the allowances, we need to work and see that like for example, I know there's a team that went to games. If the allowances that are meant to be given to them, then we ensure that that is given timely, not just giving it for the sake of doing it, but timely, so that our challenge again has been not preparing in advance. For example, if a staff is traveling to Nairobi, we need to prepare in advance and ensure that that staff is properly compensated, so that at least is able to deliver on this mandate. So one very critical is the training. The other one for motivation is promotion, timely. If given a chance, we then need to do timely promotion. And then again, maybe even the offices. Some of these staff, you realize, you go to the offices and you realize it's not a good place for an officer. Some of them are very senior officers, but their offices are in dilapidated condition. I don't know whether there is budget for that, but that is something we need to have in our plan and then budget for. I think there's another monster staff rationalization. There are a number of staff that are mismatched. They is training this, but you realize it's been just posted elsewhere to go and sit when he should have been in another department or in another station, because you may find a doctor who is a very senior doctor in a small clinic, and maybe he should be in either Longisa, he should be in Danai. I think through as public service, through the CS and others, we'll sit down and ensure that staff rationalization is done for the purpose again of motivation.
Thank you. Another question is, I don't know whether you are aware that control of budget instructed all the county to consider that all the staff are in IBBD payroll.
Yes.
But surprisingly, BOMET County is one of the counties which still have the manual payroll. We had a meeting last week for budget, and we realized 10% of the salaries are being still paid through the manual payroll. And also, we were able to ask as the committee of budget that we are to be given the list of the people who are still being paid through the manual payroll. We give just the people, especially after vetting, they go and change. So when you are talking here is different, but when you get the position is another issue. So I'm asking, what will you do to consider that all the staff in BOMET County are given the IBBD, paid through IBBD payroll, and also when the county assembly request, because that is one of the oversight role for us to know who are these people who are being paid through the manual payroll. And I may say sometimes we are taking this because we don't know the list, we don't know the people. Sometimes I can quote as cost workers, because these people are not seen anywhere working, but they are being paid. So 10% of the payroll is a lot of money. And that money can be used in a different, maybe in development. So given chance, tell us how we'll ensure that all the staff are in IBBD, and if we request at the county assembly for the list, if you will give us as the CEC.
Thank you, Honorable Member Chepto. The problem with government is a monster, it's a system. So you come here with ideas, and great ideas, and when you step into that office, you realize it is a system, and I'm sure you know what I mean. So you struggle with the system. Even sometimes as a CEC, I've been there, and I know the position of a CEC. It's not sometimes the greatest place to be. Sometimes you may even be sacrificed for the things that maybe you are even hearing. You are told by assembly, you stole 40 million. You can't even tell what happened. So I know I'll struggle with the system, but I promise that it is a hard nut to crack. But my promise that, because this is my second bite, I think I need to really ensure I deserve this position. So on the issue of IPPD, and because we are allowed to be briefed once you are given a nomination, once in a while you are allowed to get some briefing. I'm not, at least whoever briefed me on this, I think I was trying to look at the information on, because I knew that salaries is a monster, and I was told by someone that almost we don't have a problem with ghost workers. I'm hearing it from you again, and I said, and maybe I was right, that it's a system. So I don't know whether somebody who told me misled me, but I thought we are done with this issue of manual payment. But I want to promise, and if I also fail, maybe I'll still come back, because sometimes maybe we don't, CECs, we don't report and say, this is a monster, this is a mountain I'm climbing. Please, if I'm unable to do, forgive me, or I don't know whether there is something called forgiveness in this chamber, but I know there is a challenge that we will need to face, the idea of the system. And I want to promise we'll still need to audit the system and come up with, if there are policies that we need to bring to this August House on the issues of the systems that are available in the counties, I'll still bring. I'll propose some audit processes and policies to ensure we cure the problem timely.
A quick interjection and minor.
Yes.
And besides your promise, that
yes.
I think I've just heard something that you just say here.
Yes.
Are you sticking with the system, or you stick to the law?
The law. I want to promise the law. That's why I've said if I come a mountain, I'll come back to the house. And maybe through the department, the committee that leads administration, I will share with them the challenges that I face. So that's why I promise that if I get and realize that there is a problem with system, and that's why I even promise that if we need to do a policy shift, we then bring the policy to assembly. That's what I promised.
Yeah, because the way I've just heard, you are someone who will bring change.
Yes.
So that's why I was just very cautious on asking the same very question. Thank you.
I wanted to admit, you wanted an honest that there is something called a system in every government. But then I also went ahead and say, if there are policies that need to be brought to this August House, I'll bring them to cure those challenges.
Okay, because of time.
My last question.
And be going through the chair, Honorable Minority Leader. When you want to get a chance to talk to the candidate, ask the chair first. Thank you. Now, we need to be cognizant of time. You also want to ask a question? You also have another? All right, Honorable Roslin, then Honorable Kibet.
Okay, thank you. My last question is concerning the ward offices and the governor's residence.
Yes.
As you are aware, it was built, most of them was built. We have stall projects which was built in 2015, and you were here for about 2 years, and you didn't do anything on the same until now. It has not been completed. The other one is the governor's residence, which we have called it the white elephant, because we have been putting money, and one of the reasons why we impeached the former CEC is because of the budget which you budgeted for the same issues, and nothing was done. So you are now in the same shoes. What will you do? Because we want this thing before your term elapses, or sometimes we cut the term if you fail to implement what has been budgeted. So tell us now, because at the moment we have the budget, and I believe given chance, we expect this project to take off, and maybe even completion of even 5 or every year. That will assist us. Maybe you can tell us more about this.
Honourable Member, thank you very much. I think it is not true that I didn't do anything when I was there. I completed Kiprere's ward office. At least we did it. I got it when it was about 38-40%, and we completed to around. By the time I left, it was around 90%. I also completed Meriki ward office, and in fact, I remember Joyce's commission. I know there were a number of things that we needed to have done, like fencing, but we are not done. But at least I remember we did something about Meriki ward office under my leadership. I also found Chairman's ward office was at around 20%. By the time I left, we were around 75%. I don't know the status now, but I'm told it's about 90-80%. We did that. I also came in when we didn't have a sub-county office in BOMET East. And by the time I left, we had budgeted it, we had started it. It was at the walling stage. That was under my leadership. Maybe the only element in the room that I've had people talk about is the governor's residence. And I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, sir, you can give me a minute to explain that element, the white element, as you said. Under my leadership, it was procured. That work was procured when I was still the CEC in charge of administration. That was around 2019. And by the time I left, the contractor was around Lenta, at Walling, just towards doing a Lenta for the house. And I'm very sure we had done due diligence. We even sent officers to go and check for the quality works. But we went to, not me, but I think the team, the team that was doing the procurement, it visited around 3 to 4 places, and we thought we were satisfied that the contractor we had hired was competent, both in terms of personnel and in terms of resources. Unfortunately, when I tried finding out what happened, I'm told she was demanding for, after some time she was demanding for more payment. When the engineers were doing the estimation of the work to be paid, she was raising invoices that was above what she deserved to be paid. After some time, I'm told she said during COVID time again, she came back and said because of COVID and she's in Nairobi, she's unable to travel. Then finally, I think the works were terminated, and I'm told recently again a new contractor has been secured, and I'm told the contract has been signed. And the beautiful thing about it is that the contract sum then was 78. She had been paid 35 million, and the new contractor signed. The cost of the new contract is 42 million. So when you look at it, you realize it came down by even a million. But I'm sure the contractors are very smart. Sometimes they become the lowest bidders, then now they then demand for variation. So now remember, I promise, and I'm told there's a budget for it. On that one, I don't know how much I can promise, but I want to push and ensure that we no longer talk about the governor's residence. In the next financial year, I'm sure we will not be talking about the governor's residence. That is my promise.
Honorable debates. Okay, Honorable Changmori.
Okay, thank you, Maina. We have a challenge in staff absenteeism in their working places. You find that even some offices, when you go, maybe when governor is not around in the county, you find the offices that nobody is there. Also, when you go to some other sub-counties, you find people are not in their working place. What maybe they report even late. So this Honorable Chief has asked for value for money manpower, and I don't know how you will take these things so that people are, it's a corruption. Because of stealing hours in the public is corruption, and I don't know how we will take it as the CCM administration on the same.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I think it's an issue of coordination. That's why you find that for the national officers, the issue of absenteeism was very limited. And I've been privileged to have worked with them. I think we need to maybe a policy to improve on the policy of coordination. Secondly, we also need to bring in to post officers, and I'm sure when it comes to the ward administrators and the sub-county, I think there's a need of consultation for the officers. We need to post there with the assembly, because those are the people that will work closely with the honorable members. I think when the first assignment that I have, or the second assignment, is to ensure that we have officers who are coordinating the county functions at the county level, both at the sub-county and the ward level. Once we have those officers and we have trained them so that they understand what coordination means, I'm sure if our functions are coordinated at the ward and the sub-county level, especially at the sub-county level, I'm sure the monster of absenteeism will be not eliminated, because we'll have very dubious characters in this world, but at least minimal. We want to minimize the issue, and then we penalize those who abscond with no sufficient reason, and then penalize. So I think the issue of coordination is very critical, and I think I bring in a new strength and a new perspective on the aspect of coordination. And I think that is what I ask this Honorable House to assist us in ensuring that we have those officers in place as soon as we can. That will assist us greatly.
I think the way you have put it is, the ward administrators in the Constitution says there shall be.
Yes.
And also the sub-county shall be.
Yes.
Not me.
Yeah.
But after now, we don't have substantive ward administrators and sub-county administrators. So I think that is one of the things that you have mentioned. Yes. And we want to, what of the revenue? What do you have about the revenue of this county? Because we are now doing very bad in the side of revenue.
I know in revenue, my work is very auxiliary. It's to help. The main team that does the collection of revenue is the Department of Finance. But I also know we play a role in providing security services and helping the department and officers, the revenue collecting team, to ensure that they meet their mandate. So I'm sure it's my work is to ensure that the revenue officers I've got supporting officers from enforcement to ensure that they execute the role of the collection of revenue in a manner that is not because I'm told in some places they have had some revenue officers being chased. I think we'll work, including when partnering with the security team to ensure that there is enough security for revenue collecting team, even on market days. So because I've said my work is auxiliary, not main, when it comes to revenue collection. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much. I think we've exhausted. I know the questions are still more, but because of time, we will let it there. However, as we were continuing with the voting process, one honorable member joined us, that is Honorable. Could you introduce yourself for the benefit of the candidate?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Evelyn Mibey, friend to the committee. Thank you.
Welcome, Honorable Evelyn. Justus Maina.
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much for your time and the process that you've undergone. The committee will retreat one of these fine days, and you will get the verdict of the House in due course. As on behalf of this assembly, most especially this committee, we want to wish you the very best as you proceed home, and if you are lucky enough, serve the people of BOMET. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Unless you have one parting shot.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable members, I have nothing but great asante for giving me this chance, 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 this chance.